Welcome to Mama Drama Trauma Academy. I'm Tammy Taylor, your manifestation muse and host through the signs and symbols of the goddess in the Mama Drama Trauma Healing Oracle Deck. Welcome to Mama Drama Trauma Academy.
There are 3 disclaimers. Number 1, use self-awareness when determining how, when, and with whom you apply this information. It is your responsibility to use it according to what you know is true for you and about you. 2, if you are in any form of mental or emotional therapy or in a doctor's care, though imparted tips, tools, and techniques are proven as effective supplements to formal care, what is offered here is not intended to replace it. If you are at any time triggered, pause the session and resume once you've regulated. And 3, while Mama Drama Trauma Academy specifically speaks to empaths with the mother wound, absolute accuracy is not guaranteed, nor are results of healing sessions, information, communication, video content, consultations, and sessions with me, Tammy Taylor, or anything on the mamadramatrauma.info website. All content is created for educational, spiritual, and entertainment purposes only.
Goddess, defined as female deity, a female worthy of adoration. Today we're talking about how you do your goddess. How do you honor the God within you, the divine feminine within you? This yin energy from Divine Mother, the source and center of the cosmos of all creation, expressed individually through the jiva of you. And as we evolve as empaths with the mother wound into a more healthy, happy, and whole self, how we connect that divinity with the Atman, the collective soul. Today, in exploring the goddess sign and symbol of the Mama Drama Trauma Healing Oracle Deck, we return to the moon and its expression as our moon sign, that soul memory, that attachment the soul has to likes, dislikes, therefore emotional reactions based on those grievances, fulfilled and unfulfilled desires throughout lifetimes that we carry. That is the collective essence of our moon sign. And if you missed that session, go to your moon sign and you will learn about the energy that your moon sign expresses, as well as your specific moon sign, if you don't know, through the moon sign calculator. The moon sign today, that aspect we're going to be exploring specifically, Mama, the mother, that embodiment of our first goddess, the first female energy we deified upon birth, and that memory that the soul brought into this lifetime being expressed and embodied through her as her, specifically for us as old souls. This energy is extremely intense. We talked about chakra boom, the chakras, and the intensity of incarnation for us, the bombardment of emotions and how we manage the dysregulation, not as a consistent monitoring of anxiety to cause more anxiety, but through a daily practice of loving detachment, which the Mama Drama Trauma Healing Oracle Deck was downloaded from Great Mother to support us in doing. Here we are in the third sign and symbol of the deck, the goddess, that moon phase we're moving into, the variant expressions of great mother energy, of course, the archetype, the mold of mothers in this realm, divine mother being the yin energy of the cosmos, great mother as we relate to maternal energy in this physical realm is the mold, the archetype of many variant expressions as we witness through the various moon signs, of which there are 12, and the lunar phases, anywhere counted between 8 and 16. In the Mama Drama Trauma Healing Oracle deck, we focus on 8 lunar phases per suit. There are 6 suits, spelling the word aspire, because we aspire each day and in every way to live in loving detachment from mama, the drama, and the trauma. The lunar phases from new moon to balsamic moon are reflections of the sun, great father energy. And it's through these reflections that we can see life action, great father energy, the dharma. What the moon sign reflects in these phases are the types of goddess energy within us that we're experiencing at a particular time, that we're feeling at a particular time. Although we're born with a general attitude structure, a general emotional reaction to life based on the composite experiences that we've had each day, and each experience, each interaction offers us a new opportunity to express our goddess. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it great mother energy that we're experiencing and expressing? With MDT, Mama performs her goddess in ways that coerce reflection on those attachments we bring into this life, those good, terrible, and great attachments that we have. She coerces us to reflect upon those. As maturing souls, it's important for us to become aware of the baggage that we carry. You know, as elders in physical form, we can witness as above, so below. Below, in the realm that we live in, practically in a day-to-day life, we can witness as we get older the stiffening of the body and of the joints, the slowing down of the motion. And this comes with the burden, the gravity, the weight of life. And so it is above. As we evolve as souls, carrying all of these life experiences becomes very heavy. And that's why we release the body to reincarnate, to have more experiences that allow us to choose. But oftentimes, the older we get, we forget that we have choice. A lot of times as we get into our 40s, 50s, and 60s, we forget that we have a choice of who we partner with and our relationships we can have and what we can do. Because the fear comes with those weaknesses that emerge with the body. And as we become older souls, so it is true, we have weaknesses that emerge. And those weaknesses emerge just like in physical form from the attachments that we have. How things should be, how things could be, how life should be, how the world should be, based on what we've experienced in the past, as opposed to facing the present as a new opportunity. Breaking the empty cycle is all about breaking our maternal archetype. Archetypes are the mold. The first wheel that was ever created is the archetype for every wheel that's ever come after. The archetype for the first lamp with a light bulb is the mold for every lamp that has ever come after. And every archetype has an energy that it holds. And the archetype for the mother, the great mother energy, is a variant energy as well, as there are infinite styles of lamps that light our homes and our businesses and our public places. There are a myriad of mothers, as we have a myriad of lunar phases. Speaking specifically about MDT mamas, mama drama trauma mamas, these mothers of empaths that are wounded by how she does her goddess, is what we're talking about today. And breaking that cycle is all about us becoming aware of our own mythology, our own perception that we have of the mother, and how much it is in alignment with the archetype of the mother that we need in this moment. And that will change as it does throughout the deck. There are 49 cards in the Mama Drama Trauma Healing Oracle deck, 7 of which are represented by the major arcana, the Aspire cards, the 6, Acknowledge, first suit, root chakra, self-inquiry, second suit, sacral, Processing, gut chakra, suit, Integrity, heart chakra suit, Rebirth and resurrection, throat chakra suit, Emancipation, Ajna suit, and we have the lawsuit, which are the law cards, the great father cards. These represent the major arcana as well as the angels, guides, and ancestors card. There are 36 goddess cards and 3 god cards. The 36 goddess cards are the variant energies of Great Mother that we need as empaths with the mother wound from time to time, and collectively in our readings to bring a message to us. These goddesses are our elder sisters who have already completed their heroine's journey. They have lessons, they have experiences, they have wisdom to share with us, to give us, to provide us along our journey and our challenges that we face moment to moment and day by day. They come together and give us messages as they are sharing their recognized and identified deified selves with us, to encourage us to love the divine God within ourselves, our individuated divinity. Just like we have to love ourselves before we can love anybody else, we have to love and identify, recognize the God within ourselves, our goddess. That archetype within us, that unique expression of the goddess within us, is an attached memory mode of how we have experienced the mother throughout lifetimes. And to be able to identify and work with our own mythology, our own story, our own soul narrative as it relates to maternal care, presence, protection, and provision, means that we also recognize how we have mothered others in addition to ourselves. We have mythologized, or through our experiences created stories about what is good, bad, right, wrong, or worthy. The myth is now so crystallized, concretized, and solidified in our body mind, we have become maladjusted to our true divinity, our true goddess selves, our true sense of great mother alignment, our own intuitive knowing. How does the deck help us to live in loving detachment? It clarifies, balances, and confirms our own intuition, our own intuitive voice, that these attached memories, these attached attitudinal beliefs and behaviors are constantly making us question. And because we are empaths, are constantly throwing us off of our accuracy in terms of how we read our environment. We have the capacity to accurately feel the emotions of others, and specifically and especially ourselves. But many times we're off with MDT because we are not working with our own mythologies and seeing them for what they are. This solidified, maladjusted, great mother connection is an unhealthy one because we resist it. We don't embrace our intuition. And when we can't trust it, that makes sense. But what MDT Academy is here to do is to let us know that we have the capacity for it to be clear, for it to be balanced, and for it to be confirmed by Great Mother. Once we recognize that she is calling us home through this experience, she's calling us home through these looped experiences of abandonment and abuse. We've normalized a kind of attitude, behavior, and belief system of shame, blame, and guilt that supports MDT. Many of us have had MDT many lifetimes, and many of us have purported it or perpetuated it onto other souls. This has facilitated and reinforced this kind of narrative of this shame, this blame, and this guilt about being divine. Empaths are old souls trapped in a karmic loop of this unchallenged and unexamined self-abandonment, abuse, self-judgment, condemnation, alienation, because we are such a small percentage of the human population, and we're wanting to be accepted, we're wanting to be a part of it, but we don't realize who we are and what we are and why we are here. And so we get lost in the sauce, and that's what creates the loop. So how we do our goddess is really about how an understanding that myth has no beginning and no end. Our soul story is an eternal one, like the divine children, gods and goddesses that we are. Our lives are eternal. We can see, feel, hear, touch, taste, sense the past, present, and future. This is why we get so dysregulated, and why what is something our siblings can handle or other people can say, just move on. Everybody's mother is like that. Everybody has mother-daughter or mother-child issues. Why can't? The reason why we can't is because we're at the end of a cycle of doing this for many lifetimes. And it's, when something has been done so many times, it just runs raw. It just runs something raw. And it's not life-giving. It's draining. So we heal when we are in touch with who we are, why we are here, and what we can do to empower our goddess is unconcealed, addressed, and revealed. So if this is your first time here at Mama Drama Trauma Academy, welcome. We are here to learn to let go of the mother that we want, that fantasy of who she should, could, would be, so that we can release ourselves from this cycle. We can break this cycle and accept the mother that we have. And the mother that we have is always evolving and changing, just like we are, just like the moon is, just like Great Mother is the expression of all of us. Here, the teachings are based on a fundamental mantra that Great Mother gave us as the basis of the of the Mama Drama Trauma Healing Oracle deck, which is something she gave us when I said, Great Mother, everybody's in different places. Some empaths are psychic mediums. Some empaths are regular emotional mediums who just regular emotional empaths. And others are intuitive empaths. Not every regular emotional empath is going to want this oracle deck. And again, the oracles of Delphi, the oracles that have been throughout the ages administered by the goddess, administered by the Vestal virgins, administered by the feminine energy of the caves, the womb of the earth, to receive echo messages from Gaia to mankind. This oracle, this voice, this oral message, this vibratory message that is confirming what we need to know and what we need to understand to live our birthright, to be happy, healthy, and whole. This energy is available to all of us. But not everybody wants to necessarily work with an oracle deck. And so I said, well, Great Mother, what about people who don't want to work? This information is so great that you've given specifically for us. People who are not empaths with the mother wound, who are really into decks, they use it. But you told me it was specifically a message for empaths with the mother wound. What about those who don't want to use an oracle deck? And she said, as long as they know the mantra and they practice that, that is what they would in effect be doing to live in loving detachment. And so all together now, those of you who are doing your loving detachment practice and know the mantra together with me, it is, I am a dearly loved divine child of the Great Mother, Father God, who is never judged, condemned, or left alone. That is our mantra. The Mama Drama Trauma soul contract that we have this lifetime in healing it is to evolve in self-love and spiritual independence. That is our charge. That is our mission. That is our healing balm, is our evolution as a soul in self-love and spiritual independence. Our daily practice is to do our goddess in ways that honor our unique connection to the Great Mother, Father God. And so that's what I was learning. And so that's what I was asking Great Mother. I was learning everybody has their own way of connecting to Great Mother. I know I have my own. I have my own spiritual and religious background, and I'm learning different things, and I incorporate things as I learn them and as they resonate with me. And as far as what I know about people and people that I've worked with doing coaching, everyone does that to the degree of their understanding. That is spiritual independence. When we own that relationship that we develop through our own experience and through our own wisdom, that is how we do our goddess. Doing that development of that relationship, confirming that relationship through testing the messages we receive, however we receive them. Everybody has their own system of signs and symbols. When one person sees a butterfly, they see metamorphosis. When another person sees a butterfly, they may see freedom, they may see beauty, they may see travel. They may see a combination of them all, depending on the context. We all have our own default, our own emotional soul memory that we're operating from. And our chakras coalesce with this memory, our energy state in which our soul occupies our body does that in a unique way based on when, where, and the time that we incarnated. So we've seen how we show up as divine children in the Mama Drama Trauma Healing Oracle Deck signs and symbols. And so with the goddess signs and symbols, we're looking at the variant energies of Great Mother. The Mama Drama Trauma Healing Oracle Deck is a gentle, loving, irreverent way of connecting yourself to your feelings so that you can learn to trust your intuition. Yes, we are divine, but we are also human. Learn to live in loving detachment from all of the conditions that make you feel detached from that divinity. It's within you. You see it in everything else. For empaths with the mother wound, go to mamadramatrauma.info.
For those of us who do not know the goddess within us, much of what I'm going to share with you will sound very strange and maybe a bit off-putting. And for those of you who are familiar with the goddess within you but have never really lived or done your own goddess in a conscious way, it may sound a little different than what you're used to. Because what we're dealing with here is our divinity identity. We're dealing with the fact that as dearly loved divine children, we are gods and goddesses. By default, that's what children of gods are, gods and goddesses. And the great Mother, Father, God are the archetypes, the mold, the mother mold that all cultures in every conceivable manner that we know of believes a mother is. And whatever conceivable mode of behavior a father is, that consensus lies within what we know as the father archetype. And as children, therefore, we are gods and goddesses. We are the divine expression of that in this world. We are dealing with how that expression is not being experienced as divine, particularly in this lifetime when we carry so much baggage with us from many lifetimes where so much time has been spent just surviving. Yes, we've grown and we've evolved, and not every old soul is wise. There are old fools as well. But if we are here as empaths with the mother wound, that is an indication that we are at a juncture in our evolutionary path where Great Mother is calling us home. She's calling us home from the surviving, fighting, crying, lying, dying cycle that is heavy with lies of what Great Mother truly is. And what Great Mother truly is our imaginative force, is our creative nature. And that is different from what we may be accustomed to thinking about mother. Mother is everything, good, bad, terrible, great, however we can conceive of it. That's mother. There are all kinds of mothers. And from all of these experiences, we have grievances of collectively how we feel about whether or not our maternal needs have been met as we incarnate, and what our expectations, desires are this lifetime in relationship to that. So we're on a continuum between desires and fulfilled desires. One end is fulfilled and the other end is unfulfilled, and in the middle we have desires that are constantly changing. What we are doing here is looking at what this continuum is made up of for each of us individually, because the 36 goddess and 3 god cards in the Mama Drama Trauma Healing deck are all about the mythologies that they represent. In the moon phase energy that's being expressed through them, as well as the chakra boom that's bombarding the energy of that card when it comes through in a reading. This is not about perfection. It's not about faith or belief in anything except your own divine expression. That's what MDT is about. It is a lifetime experience for us to return. Great Mother is calling us. Like back in the day, we used to be outside playing all day, and when it started getting dark or the street lights started coming on, some mother somewhere would start calling her child home. Your mother probably called you, or your auntie, or your grandmother, or you started hearing other people's moms calling them home, and the street started getting deserted, and you just went on home, or you went someplace else that felt like home. It was time to go home. And that's what MDT lifetimes are about. They're about how are we responding to that call home? Because our grievances having to do with not having our maternal needs for presence, protection, and provision of care met is being confronted by the fulfillment of the maternal. Those who did not have the mother calling, but found someplace at night, even if it was a mattress on the ground in a sewer, that was a fulfillment of the maternal, good, bad, or great. We are recognizing that when we're working with Mama Drama Trauma, we are beginning to train ourselves to see us as both ego and soul. We have an ego experience, a material experience, and we are a soul observing that experience and learning from it. What are we here to learn? Our soul contract with Mama Drama Trauma is to evolve in self-love and spiritual independence. We are here to learn to love ourselves despite our desire fulfillment or a lack of fulfillment. I learned the definition of detachment when I was going to AA. AAA is for the addicts, the alcoholics. Al-Anon is for people who love the addict. And the primary teaching that they had, just like the primary teaching of the deck, is loving detachment. Here is the definition of detachment. We first learned about the 3 C's. We did not cause the addiction of the person we love. We did not We cannot control it, and we cannot cure it. And in order for us to practice that, the foundational definition of detachment is as follows. Detachment is neither kind nor unkind. It does not imply judgment or condemnation of the person or situation from which we are detaching. Separating ourselves from the adverse effects of another person's alcoholism can be a means of detaching. This does not necessarily require physical separation. Detachment can help us look at our situations realistically and objectively. Alcoholism is a family disease. Living with the effects of someone else's drinking is too devastating for most people to bear without help. In Al-Anon, we learn nothing we say or do can cause or stop someone else's drinking. We are not responsible for another person's disease or recovery from it. Detachment allows us to let go of our obsession with another's behavior and begin to lead happier and more manageable lives. Lives with dignity and rights. Lives guided by a power greater than ourselves. We can still love the person without liking the behavior. So, we learn not to suffer because of another's actions and to allow ourselves to be used or abused and all those things. And I practiced and learned that for 6 years before I even really started developing my own relationship with my own higher power within myself. And so I'm very grateful to Al-Anon as another contributing piece of wisdom in the journey of Great Mother speaking to me. And your goddess is done based on the messages you respond to. As empaths, we're always getting messages, but are they reliable? Are they actionable? And if so, are we acting on them? So saying yes to all of the above, if we can, is the first point. And that's why we had to cover all of the conceptual constraints to understanding the definitions and the vocabulary of MDT before getting into this. So I hope you have already been doing that. And if you're joining us again for the first time, be sure to get clarity about that in the prior sessions that can answer questions that you have. And of course, those related to what we're talking about with how we do our goddess today are in this session notes. Now, we already have the divinity within us. And so this is not about how no one can save us. It's about only we can save ourselves, because only we know how the maternal needs for protection, provision of care and presence can be fulfilled for us to feel cared for. Now, how does this relate to the goddess? It's just like the goddess. It's just like the goddess. And the goddesses that I'm sharing today are great illustrations of the yin yang of our ego soul selves. We have concepts of mother and goddess and all of this all intertwined based on whatever our cultural religious traditions are. Understanding the goddess is really a emotional, spiritual understanding that we need to have, because it's within us. It's esoteric. It's not exoteric. It's within us. So how do we know Great Mother loves us like this? Well, we say, well, how do we know that she sees us like this? And how do we know this really? When we're asking these questions, we want to stop and really get clear, because we are gods and goddesses. That's what we are. And how this plays out in everyday life is, as far back as human artifacts go, approximately 200,000 years or so, the earliest human artifacts show primitive idols of pregnant women all over the place. The oldest carbon dating of humans creating from clay idols, they were pregnant women everywhere. And especially in Mesopotamia, where the oldest civilizations are, we see Ishtar, the first god known, period. And this first universally worshipped god throughout all of ancient Mesopotamia, specifically if we're talking about the ancient Akkadian people associated with the Anunnaki, ancient Persia region, today we call Iraq. This daughter of Akkadian culture was the daughter of the moon. And we're talking about the desire continuum, how it goes from the soul experience of fulfilled desires to unfulfilled desires, lifetimes throughout lifetimes, because we incarnate to experience our desires, to create and recreate. What do we create and recreate from? Our desires. And they change. That's why we're all different. And this God, never associated with being immortal, and it's called a god because it's the first god known, but this goddess was not a mother god. This goddess god, and at that time until today, the greatest desire she had was over love, fertility, and war. And those are the things people fight, kill, tooth and nail for to this day. We boil it down to money so often, but when you get behind the money, what people are after is the power and control of love, relationships, human interactions, fertility, population control, or having children, not having children, and war. Who controls the environment in which we live? What we do, what we cannot do. These are the things that we have boiled down to being financially wealthy. But at the end of the day, it's about love, fertility, and war. Those were her desires. The yin-yang of our divinity, what we're looking at. And when we talk about the gods and goddesses showing up in our deck and why, as a sign and symbol, they're so important, and how do we know we're loved this way, and why is this important to us? The soul has a body that eventually it will release. That essential part of us, that divine part of us that is unique to us, is a micro-spiritual aspect that has its own desires and experiences from the collective, or the Atman, the universal, the unified collective consciousness. That great Mother, Father, God, holistic entity, spirit from which we all emerge. For God to experience itself, great Mother, Father, God, as infinite desires and experiences. So that's why there's no judgment or condemnation. We're doing what we are intended to do. We are being what we are intended to be. But since all of life is balanced And we're not saying every moment, we are stressing ourselves out so that we're emotionally balanced. No. We're seeing the universality of what balance is, not just within my small mind, but within the reality of how I am perceived. How do I balance myself within the scope of how I am perceived? In other words, how do I feel that powerful grid, that potential grid that we talked about in Chakra Boom, that we're not even aware that we have power access to give and to receive, to electrify, and to modify our lives and experiences. This is how we do it. We realize that there are other souls who are further along in this evolutionary experience, as Ishtar that we're talking about is, and as other people that we may have as archetypes in whatever spiritual tradition we come to, or that we talk about, that we believe in, whether it's Mary Magdalene, or whether it's Kuan Yin, or whether it is Sulis, or whether it is Aphrodite, or Artemis, or Yemiya, or Oya, or it doesn't matter. They're variant energies that we are all a part of, yet at the same time are expressing certain elements from, because we all exist from the same well. But we're drawing various amounts based on what our desires are and the karma, the power we have to manifest it. And what I'm saying to you as an empath with a mother wound, yes, there are a lot of challenges that come with this Saturn moon energy. And there's a lot more we need to look at, and in coming sessions we will explore with that moon energy. There are other doorways out of our particular moon sign wheelhouse than just the opposing door. You have a door out with the phase of the moon that you were born in. People born with a full moon as empaths tend not to experience MDT as intensely because it was a full moon. The darker the moon, the more intense the MDT. So there are a lot of different things. And when we're talking about Ishtar, the daughter of the moon, we're talking about a variant mother energy that expressed in many, many ways. If you can imagine an elder sister goddess with an energy that was able to control love, able to control fertility and war. One version of Ishtar is of the prostitute, whose very bed is the center of the inner sanctum of the, I don't want to call it a church, but it's the inner sanctum of the chamber of the temple, where people would come for consultation. And the various priestess of the Ishtar order would service the fertility needs, would service the love needs, would service the consultations for war. And in fact, this goddess tradition had legions of women warriors who did not fight when they were in their menstrual cycle. When they were letting blood, they did not fight. And all war stopped when they were. I mean, very, very powerful. The most powerful energy over love, fertility, and war that has been known. The mother, that pregnant woman energy, ruled the earth for the first 200,000 years. that we knew of God. That energy of the female as God is the first goddess that we know to this day, regardless of where we're born in the world. The first God that we know as a child is our mother. Ishtar is also known as the mother lover archetype. She's never known as the great mother energy. That's not her energy. Her energy is the power mother. And so the power has to do with masculine energy. The great mother has masculine energy as well, but it's not an active energy. It's more of a passive energy that is that internal, inspirational, imaginative inspiration that spurs creativity, that spurs action. She was mother lover. And the mother lover is the basis of what we call the Oedipus complex in psychology, Sigmund Freud, where the son is unnaturally attached to the mother. This quote-unquote unnatural attachment, and I'm putting it in quotes because it is so predominant since the very beginning. This is the yin energy. This is the manipulative energy of the mother, and we see it whether it is Alfred Hitchcock movie The Birds, or we see it in the stereotypes of the Italian son and mother, or we see it, in a lot of the Arabic mother son, can do no wrong. Persian, particularly mother and son, the son can do no wrong, that kind of thing. But in the mythology, the story, and we're talking about the story that we tell ourselves, that we come into this life with, the story of Ishtar Tammuz, which was her son, was that he was a shepherd, similar, again, Mary and Jesus Christ, okay, and he was sent down to earth and was so popular amongst men, of course, teaching men about animal husbandry. Of course, that would be popular. And this very down-to-earth man. Ishtar became jealous. And she was jealous because in this particular version, they were lovers. She loved her son in a amorous way. But when she came down here, she was unable to retrieve him. In her journey to come, he was killed in the course of the journey. And it's a long, drawn-out story, but basically this really affected how the seasons went. This disrupted the whole kind of natural order of the world. And it established itself as a story teaching the quote-unquote unnaturalness of a mother being too close to a son. It disrupts the natural order of life because, of course, the son cannot propagate in a way that he needs to and assert his own divinity in the world as he needs to. So this yin-yang is allowing us to see that it's not about perfection. It's not about what we would judge as good or bad or right or wrong. It's about having a divine experience in which we learn from. And Ishtar mourned, and she mourned that until she made it right with a celebration during the winter months, in which, and in some traditions, it's actually the summer months. But it's a several month. It's like a 4-month celebration, and even today in some Jewish traditions, some aspect of it is recognized, just like we recognize Christmas at the end, and all of this symbolism about death and life, and going with the flow, with what's natural. and welcoming the sun back when the summer comes. And so that's how we know that Great Mother sees us this way, is because the wisdom that has been available for humanity since the beginning of time speaks to an inordinate amount of myths that tells of great power that does not come from this earth, but serves it according to the laws and the principles that govern this world, the seasons, how we have to live in unity and harmony with it in order to exist and to be nurtured by the earth, which is another form of the mother. So this is how it plays out in everyday life. This is how we know Great Mother loves us this way, because the information is here for us, only for us to check ourselves before we wreck ourselves about what we choose to believe. Do we choose to believe that the story of the prostitute is a moral degenerate, or that this indeed is about a descent into hell, a symbolic, perilous, sacred drama that lasts for a cycle, for a season, for a dark moon period, until the day of joy, when the God is restored to life, the God, the sun, the light. The same story told again in Isis, when we look at the death of her son-child, husband Osiris, and the resurrection of his light in Horus, what we call ours today. Isis also, in this particular mythology, is the Great Mother and the Mother Lover. The Great Mother is the creation of life. It says in the ancient Egyptian scriptures that in the beginning there was Isis, oldest of the old. She was the goddess from whom all becoming arose. As the creatrix, she gave birth to the sun when he rose upon the earth for the first time. Her title, Giver of Life, was also applied to the Queen Mother of Egypt. That's the archetype, the mold. And so every Egyptian queen after was given that title, Giver of Life. We talk about Hathor, the bull goddess of pleasure, and her sister, underworld sister, the tormenting hippopotamus, alligator-like creature. See, this is all prehistoric, and the descriptions, I mean, they're just so old when these animals still existed, and they were describing them, of these energies. And so this isn't by accident that these archetypes have lasted. That mold of the pleasure principle and the ugly devouring alligator, the crocodile hippopotamus, is what we see in Keeping Up with the Kardashians, is what we see with the bad bitch syndrome and all of these things going on. You know, it's just so beautiful and so much pleasure and so much this, but there's this devouring aspect. It's for us to be able to see that we don't have to be fighting and scratching and scraping to survive, and crying and dying over and over again in the same loop of judgment and condemnation, which keeps us attached to these energies. But instead, we can observe and we can recognize that they're all a part of us. That mistress of the gods, the bearer of wings like Isis, the lady in the red apparel, queen of the crowns of the south and north, the only superior one, the mighty one of enchantments, words of power, this goddess, oh, mother goddess, source from which all things sprang, this Egyptian throne being the archetype of pharaohs who sat on her lap, protected by her wings. This Mother Mary, Madonna archetype. The Great Mother, the collective of all of the energies after her of mothers and how mothers care for the child and nurture the child, are present for the child, provide for the child, protect the child. That archetype where we see that it's not simply the power of God and fertility to give life as the pregnant mother, but it evolves from that 10,000, 25,000 years ago to this intimacy, the mother as lover to the child, where we see the mythology repeated over and over again. And this energy that says that this is the natural order in order for man to actually feel and experience the presence of Great Mother as a living being. So going from experiencing the actual life itself as a maternal, deified expression to be honored. 200,000 years ago, the idol of the pregnant mother to the mother in form. So these are also reflected in us. These are also experiences that we have had as evolving souls. And we have judged them as good, bad, happy, sad. That has been fulfilled for us, that intimacy with an actual mother in living form, or it hasn't. We have grievances about it. And Great Mother is calling us back home to our internal selves in order to recognize where that experience is within us. We are the ones to lead the planet in that understanding, is what she's saying. And each card that comes up with that, and when Isis comes up, that's the root chakra. Isis is the root chakra full moon card of self-care, self-love, acknowledging the need for us to ground ourselves. And of course, root chakra being ruled by Saturn, that constricting moon. If you, when that card shows up, or Capricorn or Aquarius moon sign, you really need to check yourself on how consistent you've been with that practice. For any of us that card shows up for, that's going to be important, but particularly in terms of Capricorn and Aquarius, you need to sustain that in such a way that before you even really ask Great Mother a question, you need to be on that. Because that is how you maintain balance. Without balance, it's difficult to get clarity, and that's what the readings offer us, is that clarity. They offer clarity, balance, and confirmation, but we can walk into a reading knowing our moon sign, just as I know mine is Taurus moon, and receive the optimal from it. The goddess is going to tell us how Great Mother is suggesting we do our goddess. What's your goddess? What's your mythology? Is your mythology a mythology of power, wanting to control? Maybe it is. Is your mythology one of wanting to influence, wanting to be seen? Is it a goddess power that is the lover mother, the mother-daughter goddess? The greatest expression being one of a loving, productive, influential daughter, a daughter that influences all the siblings. How do you do your goddess? I know that for me, recognizing that doing my goddess as one that is true in how I express myself, and knowing I am a songstress, I am delivering and emitting a message I receive from the spheres. I'm not a singer, I'm a songstress. I express the song. And whether the song is an actual melody with music, or it is a melody I speak from my attunement with the moon or my mood. How do you do your goddess? That is how you know is what Great Mother is supporting, what Great Mother is confirming as your birthright to be happy, healthy, and whole, because that is the fulfillment. The fulfillment is always in the moment. That's why for each reading you do, there's a spread that's going to have anywhere from 3 to 9 cards with different moon phases. The Ishtar card is the card of the second chakra, full moon. That card is sacral energy. It is that desire, that genitalia, as well as that mental and emotional procreation that we have in the world. It has everything to do with how we connect to the other, the friend, the lover, the room that we walk in, that grounds us in the unified field of desire. What is the vibe? Is the vibe one of happiness? Is the desire being fulfilled? Is it health? Is it movement and freedom and being able to engage and express fully? Is it wholeness? Being able to share in the divinity with one another. So Jupiter ruled sacral energy is a very wise energy. And many times as empaths, when we don't feel those aspects of the sacral when we are in a room, the feeling of constriction can shoot up into the gut and really throw off our gut instincts, because we're trying to supplement what is lacking in the second chakra for everyone. And we do that very well. We take care of others very well. But then it's draining the third chakra. And so everybody might be feeling great now. They're happy and feeling healthy and feeling whole and can talk to you about holy stuff and everything, but you feel off. And so, yeah, you might be able to talk about it and you might be able to share a little bit, but your instincts are off in terms of how that sharing should be, how much it should be, what boundaries you need to have right now in that conversation or in that engagement with others. And so how we goddess is how we take care of ourselves, how we honor that divinity within ourselves. Because Mama is goddessing in a way that ensures the reflection we see is not a happy one, to encourage us to release the grievances our soul is carrying about that. Does that make sense? Because until we do, they're going to be looped in a cycle of expression that we will never be able to control. See, a lot of times when I'm sharing this information in the beginning, people think that it's about us trying to control our environment. It's not an external thing. It really has nothing to do with Mama per se as a person, as her ego. Just like it has nothing really to do with our ego other than our ego and her ego. It is important because it is the filter that our souls are using this lifetime. But this is really about that soul contract. It's a soul relationship. Our mother loves us enough as a soul and knows us well enough to know how to push those buttons, how to get us to where we need to go. She's mothering us on that level. That's how she's doing her goddess for us. And that's the first God we know, because that's who is worthy of our adoration and gratitude this lifetime for coercing us into evolving in self-love. We have to love ourselves, or we're not going to get it this lifetime, or the next, or the next, or the next, or the next. That is about MDT evolution. And we will have them until we do get the lesson. It's a necessary lesson before we can move on as old souls into learning how to be guides. We're in kindergarten. We're in preschool right now, being coaches and therapists. But we're in preschool. We didn't even started, really. We didn't even really start school yet. We're learning the symbols and the boxes and how to draw a circle, and we learn our numbers and the ABCs. That's what we're doing. Okay? We have to get this before we can even move on into being guides and to actually guiding people. I mean, wouldn't you just love to have a guide that did not love themselves? No, you cannot be a guide. You cannot be a ancestral guide or any type of guide like that without having evolved to the level of self-love where you can take care of your own needs for protection, for presence, and for provision of care. Balanced with the macro, because we're already connected. So that goes without saying. We're already connected, but the experience of that connection is what MDT is about. How are we experiencing that connection? And as a divine child, we are meant to experience it as feeling like we are dearly loved, never judged, condemned, or left alone. We are intended to experience on a practical everyday level health, happiness, and wholeness. That is our birthright. And when, as a soul, individually, from the unified field of spirit, of Great Mother, Father, God, of which we are all one. But when we have these individuated experiences, lifetimes after lifetimes, countless soul experiences that have taken us so far away from that we haven't experienced that as our practical daily reality for lifetimes. We done went way out of the yard. We done got lost. We had Amber Alert going out. And that's what MDT is. It's Great Mother saying, up, time to come home. And we have to start the walk back. And so how you do your goddess is how that walk is going to be. We get to decide how it is. It ain't about judging somebody, whether they're a prostitute, whether they're this, whether they're this, that, or whatever. Your experience is going to determine, regardless of what you try to call it or label or whatever we're doing, we're divine beings. We can do whatever we want. Your experience of what you're doing is going to determine whether or not you feel dearly loved. It's going to determine whether or not you feel like you're not judged, condemned, or left alone. I don't feel that way. I observe the reaction of others in their ego form that way. But on a soul level, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good more and more and more every day. And that's how I do my goddess.
A goddess to love is a woman who lives above her nature. A goddess to love is a woman who faces challenges and loves anyway. A goddess to love is sound. how you love. God is for you. How you do your goddess is how you live. How you do your goddess is how you love.
As always, above all and most of all, remember, Great Mother loves you, and I do too.